Yo, what is up, everybody? Ceresco back again. Another chapter, another story from the series Macabre Minds, written by Auntie Heart. Remember to use the links in the description, show love to the author, like, comment, and subscribe. Story 12, Scream for Ice Cream. The events that had occurred over the past couple months had been ghastly, to say the least. Now, I'm attuned to the strange being of a single parent, a 4-year-old little Braylon, but I have begun to panic and to question my sanity, or whatever was left of it, after raising a child on my own. That I have done things differently, that I have kept a better eye on my daughter. Those questions haunt me, and I wonder with worry whether or not Braylon would still be here if I had answered yes to those riddles. You see, my nightmare began the song. It was a warm summer night, and I was curled up in my cold bed, dozing since I had just put Braylon to sleep. The night was pitch and silent, and I found my eyes were unable to stay open. As I was drifting into slumber, I heard it. It was faint at first, and I thought I might have been dreaming, but the noise grew louder and louder. It was the sound of an ice cream truck's jingle, and in my amused, tired mind, I began to hum along, the pop goes the weasel. It doesn't even dawn on me how odd that an ice cream truck would be driving around at 11 o'clock at night. All around the mulberry bush, all around the mulberry bush. I thought of my childhood, begging cash off my parents, running out after the truck along with the other neighborhood kids. Feeling the sweetness rushed to my brain, slamming the front door behind me, giggling like a little girl. I was out of my bed at that point, suddenly alert, adrenaline rushing through my bloodstream. I had never slammed the door before. I was a man. How could I have giggled like a girl? Braylon? I called, and I heard the screen door slam shut again, this time incredibly real. Braylon! I ran down the stairs, sprinting like a cheetah, tripping on the bottom step and eating shit. I rolled over on my back, groaning in pain, holding my wrist, which was clearly sprained. But I still stared on towards the front door, and still my heart beat wildly against my chest. The door was open, and the screen door was flapping in the summer breeze. I got to my feet immediately, agony forgotten, and I rushed into the streets, calling Braylon's name as she were a lost dog. Even though Pop Goes the Weasel still echoed in my ears, the streets were noiseless. Even though every large car I saw caused my stomach to flip, there was no ice cream truck in sight. I rapped frantically at my neighbors' new doors. I asked with dread if they had seen or heard an ice cream truck. I questioned whether or not they witnessed my daughter chasing such a vehicle. Each neighbor, with irritably lacing their words, reminded me of the time they told me to go home. My head felt fuzzy. I could feel tears start to well up in my eyes. Where was my Braylon? Next morning, I stumbled over to the local police station and I carefully opened the doors, not wanting to hear them slam. I went over to the receptionist. "How can I help you, Tristan?" Did I recognize her golden curls and icy blue eyes? I couldn't recall. My daughter, her name is Braylon Lydia Gamble. She went missing last night. There was an ice cream truck. I think she may have been abducted. The lady appraised my face with a strange emotion. I think I would call it pity. With a nod of her head, she said, "Okay, Mr. Gamble, I'll get my supervisor." I waited in the room for a good 10 minutes, pacing, talking to myself. How could Braylon have gone missing? This couldn't be happening to me. She was the most important thing in my life. The cutest little girl who ran around with her teddy bear in their arms. She kissed me goodnight at the end of every day. She always told me how much she loved me, and I would return the sentiment with my whole heart. What did I do to deserve this torture? The sheriff walked out of his office, the blonde following just a few paces behind him. "Tristan Gamble, nice to meet you again." I didn't take it. As he went and extended a hand to me, I simply asked, "Who are you? Do you know where Braylon is?" "Ah, I'm Davy Spire, remember?" "No, well, I think you might need to go home, Tristan." I flinched, as though he had physically punched me. What do you mean? What about my daughter? What about Braylon? I need to find her. I need her to go back home. I was on the verge of tears at this point, and the sheriff exchanged a glance with the blonde. "Of course, Mr. Gamble. Here, you can file a report if you want." Reaching into her desk and producing a stack of papers, I mumbled thanks, cast Davy a dirty look, and I filled out the papers with shaking hands. What was I to put? I realized how ridiculous it sounded, but I wrote down the truth. And I watched as the sheriff praised the papers with raised eyebrows. "Well, we'll do what we can, Tristan, but I think you need to go home and rest." I slammed my fist down on the desk, and the blonde jumped. "I can't rest! Where's Braylon?" "Sir, we'll do everything in our power to help you, but you look positively exhausted. You should go home." He was starting to grow annoyed with me, and so I just looked from Davy to the blonde and scowled. "All right, but better find my daughter. I just want her back." "We know, Tristan. Goodbye." I didn't return the statement, and I just stormed out of the police station with a heavy heart. The next few weeks, I wandered about the streets, calling out for my girl, watching as the neighbors cast me worried and exasperated looks. I put up flyers, but every morning I went out to find that someone had torn them down. I printed out more and put them back up with a numb mind. I had not been able to sleep. Every night, just as I was about to drift off to sleep, I would hear the jingle all around the mulberry bush. I would start in my bed, staring at the window with wide eyes. The monkey faced the weasel. I ran down the stairs, taking 2 at a time. The monkey thought 'twas all good and fun. I sprinted to the front door. Pop goes the weasel. I threw open the door. Nothing. The streets would be empty, and all of a sudden, absolutely, chillingly silent. Not even the sounds of crickets added accompaniment to the night wind. I would stand, frozen in the night, in my robe, and I would tentatively call out, "Braylon? Braylon!" Nothing. And everything would stand eerily still for a few moments, as though the whole world had held its breath. Then, out of nowhere, dogs would start to bark. Crickets would begin to chirp, and annoyed neighbors would turn on their lights, peek out their window blinds at me. I was at a loss for what to do, so I dejectedly walked back to my house. However, there eventually came to be something else. When I heard the jingle, I would peek out of my window as though I would see Braylon strolling home. Conversely, I saw something much different. Outside my window, in my driveway, stood an ice cream man. I could tell it was one due to his colorful white uniform and funny little hat. He held an ice cream scooper and smiled up at the house. He didn't just curl his lips, but he showed all his teeth with a wide, toothy grin. I could not see his eyes. They were not covered by the shadows of the night. That made it much more unnatural. First night I saw him, I called the cops. 911, what's your emergency? There's someone outside my house. What's your name? Tristan Gamble. There was a slight pause, and then, "All right, Mr. Gamble, cops are on their way." Thank you so much. When I heard the sirens coming, I watched as the man started smiling, turned, and was swallowed by the darkness. The jingle that accompanied him faded away. I desperately pleaded with the cops to go look for the ice cream man. A couple of them laughed at me, but all 4 still went to go scope out the neighborhood. Of course, they came back with nothing. No evidence that someone had been in my driveway with a dripping ice cream scooper. No sign of the truck whose music was beginning to give me a headache. The monkey chased the weasel, the monkey chased the weasel. They wrote down a few notes on their pads, told me to keep the doors and windows locked, and they would call me in the next day, see how I was faring. How do you think I'm faring? Braylon's gone. That man took her. Well, we'll do all we can, Mr. Gamble. But you really should get back to sleep. You look horrible. And with that, they left the house, sirens silent, and they drove to the blackness. Over the next couple of weeks, I saw the ice cream man every night outside my window. And every night, I would stare him down, waiting for him to make a move. I even tried calling out to him once, asking him what he had done with Braylon, but he had just smiled wider, turned, and disappeared. Was I going insane? Was I just imagining this very real man standing on my driveway? I did not have answers to these questions, so I began to just ignore the ice cream man. I drew the blankets over my head like I was a child again, and I tried to grab some sleep. It eluded me every time. One night, I was curled up, whole body under the covers, when I heard it. The song. The squealing of brakes. And then the door. With shaking legs, I rose from my bed, crossed over to the window. The ice cream truck was parked outside my house. It was what one would expect an ice cream truck to look like, just as the ice cream truck man was an epitome of his profession. I glared at it and at the ice cream man standing by his truck on my driveway. Why wouldn't they go away? Why wouldn't they let me suffer alone? However, with this little bit of curiosity about Braylon, I walked down the stairs cautiously, that time out front door. The ice cream man was now in his truck, and he stared at me with a large, creepy smile. What the hell? Where's Braylon, you fuck? I made it up to the window, and I was able to reach through it and touch the ice cream man. He was tangible. It wasn't just my imagination. Flinching a bit at my fingers on his strangely cold flesh, he hit the gas and sped up with my arm still caught in the window. I screamed and rolled onto the ground, staring at the pool of blood around me and marveling at the pain like daggers stabbing into my arm. Dogs began to bark, neighbors came out of their houses, this time I ran over to where the shrieks were originating from. Someone must have called an ambulance, for I blacked out then. When I woke up, I was in the stark whiteness of the hospital. The whiteness reminded me too much of ice cream, and I almost burst into tears. I think I might have when I noticed that Davy was sitting in the room along with a larger, older woman with graying hair. Good morning, Davy said when he saw that I was awake. He was still in uniform. Hi. What happened? I had so many questions. Where to begin? I noticed my arm was in a cast. I picked at it with anger. You broke your arm, the woman said. What was I to say? That it was the ice cream man's fault? I stared between the two of them, finally asking, have you found Braylon? Davy and the woman exchanged a knowing look, and the woman finally crossed over to me, put a hand on my good arm. I pulled it away, noting the sorrowful sympathy in her eyes. Where was Braylon?
Hi, my name is Maggie Rangel. I'm the psychologist here at the hospital. I think we need to talk about your daughter, Mr. Gamble.
What? Wait, what is it? What's going on?
Sir, your daughter's dead.
I don't know who told me this. I began sobbing into my good hand, body racked with misery. The news hit hard. If only it ended there.
How did she die?
Mr. Gamble,
Do you remember what happened last year at all? Now, I want you to think very hard about this,
Maggie said. My head was shrouded in the fog. I immediately shook my head, wondering why they had to bring up such an unrelated topic at a time like this. Davy spoke up next. Tristan, Braylon died last year. An ice cream truck ran her over. I helped you back then. Do you remember that? No? That's impossible. Braylon just went missing.
Mr. Gamble, you're exhibiting signs of psychosis. Your daughter died a year ago.
It slowly made sense. The odd looks people would give me when I went to drop Braylon off at school. The even stranger glances I got when I requested ice cream for two. And of course, there were the annoyed neighbors and the missing posters that were always continuously pulled down against my will. Visions of a little girl splattered across the road. The tortured screams of her father. It rang with logic, and yet I did not want to believe it. Had this past year been a living lie? Maggie asked me a few more questions while Davy cast me concerned looks. I answered them with a strangled voice, and I burst into tears when she mentioned I could go to a mental hospital. I refused to sign the papers, and I went home that night, much against the wishes of Davy, Maggie, and the staff of the hospital. Once I was home, I went to Braylon's room. It was pristine, minus a few crayons littered on the ground, and it was as if she had never left. How could my little girl already be dead? Wasn't she just in her room coloring the other day? I went over to a box she kept under her bed, a container that held her many drawings. I leafed through them, not allowing my tears to spill on any of the papers. Most of them were just colorful line drawings of animals and of stick people, but they were still absolutely beautiful to my psychotic mind. But a few drawings had me pause, and my heart began to race. On a few of the papers, there were obvious drawings of the ice cream truck and man. A couple of them even had words written on it with child's innocence. I will translate them since they contain an array of spelling and grammatical errors. However, I could read Braylon's writing as easily as if it were just normal English. He always gives me treats. The ice cream man is so nice. Daddy doesn't know about him, but he always gives me ice cream before I go to sleep. I stared at the last one with a feeling of dread in my stomach. The terror was warranted even further when I heard the jingle right outside Braylon's window. The monkey thought 'twas all good fun. The monkey thought was all good fun. No, I wouldn't accept it. It wasn't real, was it? Braylon died a year ago, and this ice cream truck was just part of the psychosis I had developed. Maybe I should have gone to the mental hospital. I was obviously insane. When the music grew in volume, I hesitantly made my way over to the window. Looking out, I saw the ice cream truck parked in front of my house, and the ice cream man standing in the driveway, moving, holding the large brown paper bag. He crossed the driveway with that horrible smile of his face, and he put the bag on my doorstep. Did I hear the ring of my doorbell? I watched as he turned and went back to his truck, drove off. That bag couldn't have been real, but as I opened my front door and peered out of it, I reached down and picked it up, absolutely tangible in my hands. I took it to my kitchen counter, wondering at the smell that permeated from it. It had the aroma of death. I opened the bag. I blanched. I found a cold but melting popsicle shaped like a head of Dora the Explorer, easily Braylon's favorite show. Throwing the ice cream into my sink with antagonism, I turned my attention to the rest of the bag's contents. I pulled out one of Braylon's nightgowns, a frilly pink one that she had worn with holes into. I put that down right next to me, starting to tear up. The tears spilled when I removed the head of her teddy bear, followed by its torso and limbs in pieces. It was covered with fresh, sticky blood, and I immediately recognized the stench of death. I screamed when I pulled out the last of the bag's contents, and a small piece of paper that had written on the note said, "Braylon still loves ice cream. Pop goes the weasel." And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our story.